Dark this morning in every city and small town, from here to the rocky cliffs of Gallipoli, there were tears. For those who didn't return, and some for those who did. Who came back from war different people, unable to live, unable to love, until fate again took a hand and their destiny was fulfilled.
Dear Mum, Dad and Jan, I suppose by now you will have either given me up for dead or else you probably think that I've forgotten you. Well, guess what? You're wrong on both counts, because I haven't forgotten about you. By the time you receive this letter, you will have heard about our little one-sided battle out here.
Private Alan May with the kind of letter every family wanted to receive. Dear Mum and Dad, I'm safe.
I'll have to make this letter very short because it's now 9:30 p.m. Tell Carmelita I love her, I'll always love her, and I'll love her till the day I die.
A soldier's promise in the full knowledge he could die the next day. Carmelita is Carmelita Ingram. She was 18 years old. Alan May was 21 when he was conscripted. His name, one of the first to come up in the National Lottery.
He was a larrikin. He was full of fun. We were always laughing about something.
She's perfect. Every time I looked at her, I loved her.
When you were in Vietnam, how often did you think of Carmelita?
Every day. She was absolutely brilliant, you know. She just made me feel alive.
Anyone who fought there and hundreds who didn't remember the 18th of August 1966. The night before, the Viet Cong had been firing at the Australian Task Force base at Nui Dat in South Vietnam. Private Alan May was among the task force sent to Long Tan to destroy the enemy in a nearby rubber plantation.
I'll need an ammo resupply soon. I want Kelly-born reinforcements to come in at the edge of the rubber.
We all hit the deck and everybody thought we were being attacked. And the first thing that went through my mind is what's Carmelita going to say, what's Mum Dad going to say when I'm dead?
It was the first time Australian forces had been in direct combat against the Viet Cong.
They mortared the base to bring out as many as they could, kill them, and then go straight through Nui Dat, kill every Australian there just to show the Americans that they could do it.
This is Roger. No helicopters available.
The odds were frightening. 108 Australian soldiers were confronted by over 2,000 Viet Cong, who kept coming no matter how many were shot.
Stand by for delivery.
Control 6, this is 4. Beauty, right on target, over.
It was a maelstrom. Cordite, smoke, shrapnel, the slam and hiss of bullets, fear, anger and hurt. Cries of pain and terror that were often cut off midstream. And when the rain came, big monsoonal drops, it was heaven's declaration, no one here may get out alive.
I rolled and rolled and rolled and just kept rolling and crawling on my guts. Next minute I heard Dougie Fabian, my second scout, yell, "Al, I'm hit." And I went over to him and he had a bullet through his muscle of his elbow. And we saw a rubber tree knocked over. I said, let's head for there and we'll get underneath it. You know, we hide under there for a while, you know. I stood up and then I was just arched like that, where the bullet hit the shovel in my back. And I just went skidding along through the mud and slammed my shoulder into a rubber tree, and I was just winded.
So your shovel saved you?
Oh yeah, yeah. Without a word of a lie, by rights I should have been the first one to get it.
Private Alan May is an extremely lucky man. 18 of his mates were killed and 24 wounded during the 4-hour Battle of Long Tan, a battle they won against incredible odds. Their names are engraved here among the 520 Australian fathers, brothers and sons who were killed in Vietnam. How do you feel when you walk up these stairs?
It's a good feeling. Now that I've been in there and I know what's inside, I actually look forward to coming back here.
Does this take you back to 1966?
It does.
Yeah.
It's, this is where I became a soldier. I became a man, actually.
Really?
Yeah. I grew up all of a sudden.
Now tell me about this letter. This amazing letter.
Well, the thing was, I hadn't written for about 6 weeks. The Battle of Long Tan came and went. I still hadn't written home. So my mum got in touch with the army. They got in touch with my captain, Paul O'Sullivan, grabbed me by the scruff of the neck and said, right, in my tent now, sit on the table, there's the paper, there's the pen, write a letter to your mother. And he stood over me until I finished the letter.
And why is it that you write in that letter, tell Carmelita I love her? You just, knew she was the one?
Oh yeah, yeah, she was my girl. When I actually got back on the boat, when the boat arrived in Brisbane, she wasn't there, and I was heartbroken.
When he was coming home on the Sydney, his mum had said to me, just remember, you're just the girlfriend, I'm the mother, so when he gets home, I get first dibs. I get to greet him and have my time with him, and after I've had that time, then you can welcome him home. I can remember that moment that he first arrived home. And I don't know that we said very much. I think I just hugged him, and I think hi babe was what he said.
When Alan came back home to Brisbane, he wasn't the same. Whatever demons he encountered on the battlefield followed him home.
But she could see the difference, and I kept saying, when are we getting married? She said, oh, are we getting married? She'd say, yes, but not yet.
He was jumpy, he was agitated, it just wasn't the carefree, happy-go-lucky sort of guy that he'd always been.
And after 10 months of it, I said, well, we're either getting married or we split up. That's it, I've had enough. And she said, well, I'm sorry, but I can't get married yet. I said, well, that's it, I'm gone. And I took off, and I never looked back.
The Alan that I had seen off and waited for to come home just hadn't come home. There was no contact from that time on.
So Alan and Carmelita went on to live separate lives, both marrying, having children. Alan still haunted by memories of mates, the ones who didn't come home.
We meet again, guys. And to my boss, Gordon Sharp. He'll never be forgotten, guys.
I often would think about him because in my mind he was my first great love. Whenever Anzac Day or something came up about Vietnam veterans or anything like that came up, I'd mention to my children, I used to go out with a national serviceman, he went to Vietnam too.
Unbeknown to Carmelita, that Vietnam veteran was still in love with her.
I'd been married for 19 years when the whole lot just sort of seemed to fall apart. And during the separation, I decided to spend Christmas with my sister down in Brisbane.
I was actually up the terrace and I ran into Carmelita's sister, and she said, Carmelita's coming down for the weekend. She said, why don't you give her a ring and catch up? It was just like it hadn't been a gap. You know, she was the same girl, even though it was like 27 years later. She was just the same Carmelita, and we went for a walk on the beach, holding hands like we did before.
In Carmelita's words, it took 23 years for Private Alan May to come home. They married in 1995.
I think the thing that surprised me most was to find out that he still loved me as much then as he had right back when we were first going out together.
Carmelita prayed to the Lord to bring her soldier home so that we could grow old together. And here we are, we're growing old together.
Beautiful love story. On this day last year, we brought